want to do something that I think is interesting, right by this tank. Leadership values. What are some of the leadership values that come to your mind? I'm going to say some names, put it in the comments. What is the leadership value that comes to your mind? Alexander the Great, born in 356. He was like the guy who spread the Greek culture. What comes to your mind about Alexander the Great? What about Cleopatra, right? She was in 69 BC. She stopped the Romans, or helped stop the Romans from taking over Egypt. She was hanging out with Julius Caesar, Mark Antony and stuff. Okay, what about Genghis Khan? What comes to your mind? What are these leadership qualities? There's some commanders in the army that are more abrupt. There's some commanders that are more soft. There's some people who lead groups. What about Joan of Arc? 1412, she was born. She led the French army. What about Elizabeth I? What do you think about her? She's the Queen of England, okay? What do you think about Elizabeth? What do you think about, let's just think of George Washington. Wasn't he like a great leader? What comes to your mind? Being honest. Napoleon Bonaparte, 1769. What about him? What makes you think that he's a good leader or a bad leader or whatever? What about Simón Bolívar, 1783? He was part of Latin America's successful struggle for independence from the Spanish Empire. He was El Libertador, the liberator. Abraham Lincoln, right? Who cut down the cherry tree? Was that Abraham Lincoln? What made him a good leader? Mahatma Gandhi, Winston Churchill, Mustafa Kemal Ataturk, 1881. What made him a good leader or a bad leader? Who inspires you? Franklin Roosevelt, Nelson Mandela, right? What about Malcolm X? What about Martin Luther King, right? In 1929. What made these people good leaders or bad leaders? Elon Musk. What about people like David Ben-Gurion, our first prime minister? What do you think about him? He gets buried in the desert. What about Chaim Weizmann? What about people like Theodor Herzl, who had the dream, the Jewish homeland, right? Judenstadt. What do you think about people like Yeshua, humble leaders? Right? I want to know what drives you. What do you think about when you heard those names? Tell me some leadership values. Tell me a kind of leader that inspires you as well. Write it in the comments. This is a little test. I want to see who's out there. I want to see what you think, what drives you, what motivates you. Come on, tell me.